Has anyone ever said that your eyes are dark as shit? It's like two black
Yeah, I
holes
know.
there.
Yeah.
It's like I'm staring at a snake, just like matte black eyes. Just lose my soul in those. Wait, what? Welcome back, guys.
Hi.
Welcome back to Draft Mockery. This is your one-stop shop for the very best draft takes, only the best expertise from me and Matt here. How we
Oh
doing
yeah.
today, Matt?
We're doing good. We're doing good. I wish I could see the PowerPoint here.
I'm sorry. It's so for this video, we're doing the NFL West teams, AFC West, NFC West. Lots of interesting picks here in the first round. We got one of the quarterbacks going off the board.
Yeah,
Number
looking crisp
one,
in that new Broncos uniform.
I mean UVA uniform.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
UVA uniform, yeah.
I will stand by this. I think the Arizona Cardinals jerseys are some of the most dog shit unis in the game. I
If
think.
they wore white pants, it would
Okay,
look so much better.
I can get behind that.
But I agree. I hate jumpsuit looks.
I just hate the like one color. Like do something
Mhm.
interesting. It's why I like the Broncos jerseys more, is because like there's something interesting there. There's more than like just one monotone color.
Yeah, yeah. I
Um,
mean, all I'm saying for the Cardinals, get rid of the gray on the face mask, make that shit yellow, and give them white pants, and then their uniforms are elite.
yeah, I could see that. Maybe make
Make
the
like,
lettering like the
yeah,
lettering and maybe make it black. Um, I feel
I
like
could see that.
that could kind of be clean. Or
Yeah,
maybe like
and replace the silver outlines on the numbers with yellow too.
honestly,
Silver doesn't belong. It doesn't belong in your color scheme.
yeah. Starting out with the AFC West here. Let's jump right into this with the Denver Broncos. We have right off the bat, not the first quarterback. Was he the fifth taken?
Um, yeah, I believe so.
Yeah,
Yeah,
fifth quarterback off the board at number 12, which is crazy.
insane.
Is the last time that happened, was that in the top half of the draft, like five quarterbacks going? Is that like, I think they said the last time that happened was maybe like the 70s.
It might be. It's been a while.
Yeah, we got
But
close with the Mac Jones Trevor Lawrence draft, but
they all turned
uh,
out to be busts.
yeah, yeah. So I'll
So
let you
that sucks.
take the lead here on Bo Nix. I want to see what you think about him.
Yeah, Bo Nix, I think he's got an insanely high floor. I think he's going to be a serviceable quarterback very early in his career. His ceiling, that's the big question mark. How far can he take you? Is he going to be, you know, the kind of comp I would give is like a Dak Prescott type.
Hmm.
He can run if he needs to, but for the most part, he's going to stay in the pocket. And he doesn't have the next level ability to carry your offense, but he's a step above game manager is what I'm trying to say pretty much.
Yeah,
um
he's got a good arm, and he
he
knows how to
does,
use it.
yeah. Yeah, I think a lot of people really shit on Bo Nix because he's older and he's just not crazy physically talented like some of the other guys. He is very physically talented, just not on the same level as some of these other guys.
Yeah,
um
100%. You've got to be physically talented to a certain extent to,
yeah.
play at the level that he did. It's just a matter of like, the other guys in the draft. You got Caleb Williams, generational prospect. I know people
Hmm.
had been kind of like dialing it back a bit on him, but I still think he's generational. Drake May, another like number one overall pick any other year. Jaden Daniels, incredible. Like that's like peak physical talent that you have right there. Um,
Yeah.
and just in a draft like that with this guy, it's I'd argue he's a top 10 pick any other year, but because that he's got that such steep competition
Yeah.
this year, he kind of fell a little bit.
I've heard
Fell.
a lot of people. I've heard a lot of people compare him to Kenny Pickett, and that's just not fair in the slightest, in my
Yeah.
opinion. I think he's far better than Kenny Pickett.
I think Kenny
Much.
Pickett's a better runner, but I think that Nix is a far and away a better passer.
Yeah, I think Nick's. I'll take him any day over Kenny Pickett. Really. Um, I'm excited to see what he does.
Yeah.
He's very old for a rookie quarterback,
Hmm.
but lots of experience under his belt.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting. Farther down the board, I could see we disagreed a bit on Jonah Ellis.
I
To me,
liked
I gave it a
Ellis.
C
Yeah.
plus. I give it a C plus mostly because I think it's an okay pick, but it's not anything that blows my socks off. It's
Hmm.
third round edge rusher. Seems like kind of just best player available pick. Didn't really make any moves to get him. It is good value in that third round, so maybe I would bump it up in hindsight up to maybe about a B, but I don't think he has any crazy top end potential.
Oh, I disagree. I think if you look at his proportions and the way that he's built, he is almost a prototypical edge rusher from like as far as what you want in a build, and he's shown flashes in his career at Utah, but he could never just connect those all together to have consistent play. And I think that if you were able to, really just put that all together and get him under a good D-line coach, somebody who knew how to, coach him up, connect all that. It's the same thing we've had about all these inconsistent prospects. Same thing you always hear. Like, he gets good NFL coaching. I think he's got really good potential. He's got huge long arms that really are good for working past those tackles, getting around them, stuff like that, using them to move them out of the way. So if he's able to, use all that to his advantage and get that coaching he needs, I think he can be a real dangerous prospect in the league.
That's very fair.
I
I
love.
think
Go ahead.
you go ahead.
Yo.
Um, so like down the board here, I mean, we kind of agreed on Troy Franklin.
I love
I
that
re-
pick. I love it.
I think it's a very, very good pick. It's a steal in round four. The only thing that is a concern for me is his weight.
For sure.
He's very skinny, not very strong. There's a chance he might get bullied by some of these bigger, faster corners in the NFL.
Yeah,
But if he puts on
especially. Go ahead. Sorry.
yeah, if he puts on a little bit of weight and he works on his release, he should be very good. So I think it's a fantastic pick.
100%. And I was going to say, getting bullied by these bigger, faster corners, he's in a perfect place to learn how to deal with that because you have Pat Surtain on that defense.
Hmm.
It's something that he's going to have to practice against every time he's in camp. So I think he's going to learn how to deal with that, and he's going to be able to go ahead with that pretty well. And the thing with Troy Franklin, too, is coming out, I was looking at his tape more and more, and I think he was a good prospect. I don't think he was on the same level as people were hyping him up to be. I'm glad
Hmm.
that he went fourth round, but I still think I'm glad he didn't go in the first or second round. But to get him in the fourth round, holy shit, what a
Yeah,
value pick!
it's a good steal.
And not
Yeah.
only that, I think one of the best things about him in his tape is that when he had such good chemistry with Bo Nix at Oregon, that was how they worked the best. Was
Hmm.
him rolling out of the pocket, extending plays, and then finding Troy Franklin because Troy Franklin and him practice together a lot. They know how to work with each other, and they get the exact same relationship back together in the Broncos here. So I am over the moon about pairing them up again. I think that's going to be great, especially to have Bo Nix with Troy Franklin. You're going to have a good pass catcher that he's used to, and I'm
Yeah.
all for that. I've kind of towed the line ever since the Jamar Chase draft. Ever since they got him for Joe Burrow, look how much it elevated his game. I think it's a huge, huge thing that is. Ooh, your camera just went out of focus for a second. But no, I think it's a really important thing, and I think it really does help these guys a lot. For Mac Jones, I was begging them to draft or pick up John Mechie the third,
Yeah.
or somebody like that who is one of his best receivers at Alabama, but never happened. So going down the board here, I like Audric Estimate to them. I think he's a solid pick just because. I think he's gonna be a very like what's the word for it? He's going to hold. He's gonna hold the ground. He's gonna stay in that position. He's gonna be a solid workhorse for you. I don't think he's anything like crazy talent wise. He's not especially raw.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think for me, the reason I gave him a C, I think he's too big.
Okay.
Um, he's if I remember right, he's like just under 6 foot and he's like 230 pounds. To me, he profiles as more of a fullback than a running back in the NFL. His production was pretty good at Notre Dame, but that's behind one of the best offensive lines in college football.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I'm not crazy confident about it, but it is a fifth round pick. Like I said, it's either going to be a heavily situational running back. You need like goal line sets, stuff like that, or he's going to be more of a fullback or option guy, which I
Yeah.
think could be entertaining and could be fun. Adds a little bit of versatility to that running back room, even though most of the Broncos running backs are power backs.
Yeah. I mean, so here's my question for you: if he does get drafted and he's drafted as a running back, if he
Mm.
shifts over to fullback and he gets used in like a meaningful way and he becomes a good role player in that role as fullback, would you change the grade to like
Yeah.
okay, you just
Yeah, I
don't like
would.
him
I
as a
think
running back?
yeah, I don't love him as a running back. I like I said, I think he's too big.
Yeah.
I mean, they've tried that before in the NFL, making these running backs huge. Eddie Lacy is the first one that comes to mind, and it almost never works.
Yeah.
They slow down way too much. Audric Estime, his combine was not very good.
Yeah.
He was strong, but that's just about it. He couldn't
Yeah.
really turn too well, couldn't run too well. Um, so that's really the thing is either keep him running back, have him lose some weight, or move him to fullback and have him be a workhorse blocker for your running back, which you're gonna have to teach him a good bit, because he doesn't. I don't think he has too much experience at fullback,
Yeah.
but could be very interesting and add some versatility, like I said.
Yeah. All right, so going down the line here. Now, I'm just curious because I know you'll know the most about this one. I didn't look too
Yeah.
much into it, but like you do not fucking like Nick Gargiulo, right?
Yeah, Nick Gargiulo. He's a transfer that we brought in to help out our O line at South Carolina. He played center. I think he played guard at Yale. He came from Yale. He was a
It's
grad
a decent
transfer, so
O-line
he's
program there.
he's on the older side.
Okay.
And he had a couple really good games, but for the most part, as a whole, our offensive line was terrible.
And were the
And the
good games
center,
against good opponents, or were they against like the shittier
it kind of
mixed bag?
mostly the bad ones,
Okay.
mostly the bad ones, yeah. But to me, the center is the captain of your offensive line, um, and so for me, a lot of that gets well, besides the coaches that we fired and all that stuff, but to me, a lot of that burden fell on him to get this offensive line in shape. There were a lot of young guys on that line, um, some more seasoned older guys who weren't very high recruits. Overall, the offensive line was terrible, and anyone who watched Spencer Rattler's tape knows that, because he was constantly running for his life. Um, I'm not big on him, but second to last pick in the draft, it's you could
Yeah.
take a bag of footballs for all I care.
Yeah.
So that's why I gave it a C minus. I don't love it, but what else are you gonna pick it? Pick 256.
Yeah, and when you're picking like yeah, exactly. You're picking like seventh round. It's late. Like
Yeah,
you might not love it, but like these guys are, if at the very best you'll find. I mean, sure, you might find like the Tom Brady pick like 199 who's gonna go
yeah,
on and be a goat, but like it's the seventh round of the draft. The best that you can expect from these guys is to be like a backup who can
yeah.
a rotational guy who's gonna come in for a couple plays while one of your starters gets injured or something like that. You're not looking for a big role player or anything like that. It's just some
It's
guy.
rare that these guys make it past the preseason if they're not just put directly onto the practice squad.
Exactly. Yeah.
You know, so I mean that's why I gave Devon Vele I think it's pronounced Vele, a pretty good grade. I love his physicals. He's tall, can run well.
Hmm.
He's very, very raw.
Yeah.
His production wasn't outstanding at Utah.
That was why I kind of gave it a C plus. I love
Yeah.
seeing like really good production late in the draft, but like,
Hmm.
yeah, I
Yeah,
understand why.
you and I are two different mindsets late in the draft. You like the high production but not very athletic, like the
Yeah.
smart guys.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
I like the high boom factor athletic guys who may not know the position too well.
Yeah. All right. So overall, I gave it a B, and that's mainly
Yeah.
because, again, I was definitely higher on this draft than you were, but also those first three picks, I think they nailed. Bo Nix, you can make the argument, oh, he was like nobody else was going to draft him, but you just don't know that. You had the Broncos pick. I'm sorry, the
Yeah.
Raiders picking after you. They need a quarterback.
And they're in
Um,
division too. I mean, the
exactly.
saying always is you don't get cute in the draft when it comes to quarterbacks. You
One
don't
hundred
try to
percent.
move around and, make moves to get your guy. If you have your guy at your spot, you take him.
Yeah. Um, so yeah, I don't hate the pick. I actually like it. I think that with his talent, I think he deserves to be picked there. I'm happy that he's getting the
Yeah.
bag. Um, and the one of the big important things about drafts like this and when we're grading them is that you got to value the earlier picks a lot more than the later ones. Sure, you can get a steal later in the draft and that can factor into your overall grade, but if the first 3 are hits, that's going to mean a lot more than if the last 5 are like hits. So, um
Yeah, and that's why I gave it a C minus. For me personally, is
mhm,
I'm not as big on Jonah Ellis.
yeah.
I do think Bo Nix has a good chance to, at the very least, be a top 30 quarterback in the NFL. Um, so that's like, to me, it's just barely like right around the passing range. I don't think it's anything outstanding, but you're getting good value here. You're getting some guys who will see starting playing time. Um, it's just up to them if they actually turn out to be really good or not. To me, this is a draft full of guys who are very high floor, very low ceiling, other than Franklin and Vele, in my opinion.
Yeah. All right. So, let's go on to the Kansas City Chiefs here. Overall, I was looking at these drafts and it's like a complete 180 from
Yeah.
yesterday's, or I'm sorry, not yesterday's, but the last video that we did. I'm a lot lower, or I'm sorry, I'm a lot higher, just like how
Yeah.
I was a lot lower last draft, and you're the opposite here. You're Mr. Debbie Downer over there. um, but yeah, let's get right into this with the Kansas City Chiefs and their number 1 pick at 28, Xavier Worthy. I don't hate it. I think he's going to a situation. He's going to the best possible situation for him.
Hmm.
Maybe not the best. I think it would have been a better situation if he was drafted later and there was less expectations on him.
Yeah.
However, the coaching he's going into with Andy Reid, one of the best, if not the best, offensive play caller in the league. Um, he's going to a place that he's going to be able to maximize his potential as much as possible. I'm sure we all saw the clips coming out of the rookie mini camp though with him, and they're not pretty. His route running is ugly as
Yeah.
fuck,
It's
dropping
hideous.
dropping passes. But he's a decently raw talent. Like, of course, the thing that coming out of the combine that everybody was talking about was his record-breaking speed.
Yeah.
Now you got to ask, is this another John Ross? Like, what's going on here? The dude can play. He's not John Ross. He's not completely untalented in everything in every other walk of football. He knows how to play. He's got okay route running. It's not NFL level yet, but I think he's in a spot where he can improve it.
Yeah, like you said, my
Yeah,
biggest problem with this pick is how high he was picked.
yeah,
Um, Obviously insanely physically talented, but you're going to a team that needs to win now, you know, or within the next, however many years, because Kelsey's going to be gone soon. A lot of their defensive players are getting very old. Mahomes, he's going to be around for a while, but he's taking up all of your payroll.
yeah,
So you need to hit on your draft picks, or else you're not going to be able to afford players to go around Mahomes, especially with Kelsey getting older. you
And then
need
you have
good
guys like
weapons.
Chris Jones who are also taking up the payroll. So like, it's not
Yeah.
just Mahomes. Mahomes actually has taken like pay cuts so that they can get talent on the
Hmm.
team, which is newsflash, guys, is why they're fucking winning. Hey,
Yeah.
Lamar Jacksons of the world, you don't need record-breaking contracts in order to win games. Okay,
Yeah, you'll win back that money on endorsement deals and
facts.
stuff like that after you win a few Super Bowls.
Yeah, it's the thing
So,
that pisses me off the most about the NFL today is like
mhm.
and I know this is just me talking about Brady because he was a Patriot and like he took all those pay cuts all those years. But newsflash, guys, there's a reason we were always able to bring in so much talent. It's because we had
Yeah.
fucking money too.
Yeah, so
um,
I mean, in this case, like with so little cap room, you have to hit on your draft picks. They have to be ready to play,
yeah,
and that's why I didn't like Kingsley Suamataia too. It's because he's very developmental,
he's very raw, but he's got
very raw. I mean, long term, I think it's a fantastic pick, but it doesn't
100%.
make sense. I love him as a player. For me, it doesn't make sense seeing him on the Chiefs.
Yeah,
I think it'll take him a year or two to get to starting level and to get above average starter.
I absolutely agree. Yeah, I think you can
So
use him as a rotational player right now,
yeah,
but you're
yeah.
not
If
going to be able
someone
to
gets
start
hurt,
him.
he's gonna go in, but I'm not sure he's gonna do amazing when he goes in.
Yeah,
Um, but it's just it confuses me seeing picks like that on a team that needs to hit on high floor guys right now. You know, you need guys that can just help you win football games, and these are guys that will do that, but not right away.
okay.
So that I mean, my favorite pick from this is Jaden Hicks because of that. He has some of the best protection at safety and some of the best athleticism at safety
Yeah,
out of this whole draft. So I love it. And in round 4, insane value. I think he's going to be a plug and play player very early. And out of a 4th round pick, that's very rare.
yeah. I love the Jaden Hicks pick. I think that's especially for a secondary that is depleted after Darius Sneed has left. I think that is a phenomenal pickup for them. I like Jared Wiley. I think if he's developed correctly, he can be your Travis Kelce heir.
Yeah, I think so too. Very athletic.
100%. He's a
Yeah,
better
and
blocker than Kelsey too, which is huge
yeah,
because Kelsey can't block for shit. Um, I love the Hunter Norzad pick. I think that coming out of Penn State, like you said, center's the captain of that O line, and I think he
mhm.
commanded it well. You see some hiccups on tape, but I think overall, I think he is not plug and play right now, and that might be the issue. Is he's not plug and play right now, but he is your future starter at center, right behind who's it? Creed Humphrey, is that their?
Yeah, who's
Yeah.
also very young, which is part of the reason I gave it a B.
Okay.
Is he's not really going to see that much playing time unless they eventually let Creed Humphrey walk. He
Which
gets
you could
injured,
see
or
because
you move him to guard.
yeah, which you could see
Yeah,
because interior O line is going for a premium now, in
yeah,
these last few years. So it's very possible that we do see Creed Humphrey walk in free agency at some point. They just plug in Hunter Norzad,
yeah.
after having
Especially
4 years learning under him. So
yeah, with Humphrey, he came into the league and immediately was one of the best interior offensive linemen.
yeah,
He's going to demand a lot of money.
yep,
So if you don't want to pay that, because between those 3 players, Chris Jones, Mahomes, and even Kelsey, because he's got a pretty big contract too,
yeah,
that's more than half of your salary cap.
yeah,
You know, that's more than half of your room on just like 4 players if you re-sign Creed Humphrey. So like you said, he will be the heir eventually, most likely, but he's got to develop there.
yep. All right. Nothing else really too crazy here. Kamal Hadden, I don't hate the pick. I actually kind of like the guy. I think he's a solid player, but he's around 211. You're not expecting
Yeah.
Ladarius Sneed from him. However, the Chiefs have been very good at developing late round cornerbacks. Ladarius Sneed, for prime
Yeah.
example of that. So it might be something to pay attention to because they have a really good program there, and I think that under the right circumstances, I think he could be the heir to Ladarius Sneed. So yeah, overall gave it a B plus. I don't think the Suamatia and Xavier Worthy I think their potential alone kind of bumps that grade up a little bit. my personal grades on them. Sure, they need to win
No.
now, but like I think their potential is phenomenal, and where they got them to, except for Worthy, I don't love that, but I still think that his potential gives them more of a shot than it doesn't. And then you got two really good hits in the fourth and fifth round, Jaden Hicks, Hunter Nourzad. So
Yeah.
overall, pretty good draft for them. I like it.
Yeah, to me, those middle rounds really saved this draft for me. The big concern with me with the timeline and everything too is confidence. You put these guys in right away and you expect them to win right away. If they're not ready, that's going to hurt their confidence a lot. And you've seen that with a lot of players, particularly wide receivers. If their confidence gets hurt on a team that expects them to do more than they're ready to do, they start sucking. I'm talking about Kadarius Toney. First with the Giants and then with the Chiefs, they expected him to be a lot better than he actually was ready to be. He's a high potential guy. He had that. Everyone remembers that one game he had for the Giants where he went nuts. He's a high potential guy, but he's not ready, and
Yeah,
they forced him into it. I'm worried they're going to do the same thing with Worthy, and that he's not going to be ready. His confidence is going to be shot, and his career is going to suffer for it.
yeah.
Kingsley, I'm not as worried, but still.
The more I'm thinking about the Worthy pick, I probably would have downgraded it to a C plus because another thing I just thought of was, you have already a high speed, streaky, inconsistent pass catcher on your roster in Marquise Hollywood Brown.
And Sky Moore.
And
That's your
Sky
whole
Moore.
wide receiver room, pretty
Hey,
much.
hey,
Other
hey, hey!
than
Don't forget about Mr.
yeah,
Double Arrest Record, Rasheed
yeah,
Rice.
yeah. If he ever sees the field again, yeah,
Exactly. But like you needed, I was a big petitioner for them to get Lad McConkey. I hate them, but I
yeah.
think Lad McConkey would have provided that really safe dump off pass catcher who you can
Hmm.
always consistently go to, and he'll pretty much always be there to catch that ball.
Yeah, and that's what I'm talking about here. If you went for a higher floor guy, I
Holy
think it's a
shit!
home run pick.
You hear that
If you go
thunder?
for no, I didn't. Oh wait, shit, yeah.
Yeah,
That's crazy. Yeah, I mean, if you go for a Lad McConkey, Adonai Mitchell, I mean, even a Keon Coleman, just some guys that'll help you more this season. Will help you. I mean, they might not be a number one wide receiver down the line, but they'll be at least a top three guy on your team for the next 5 years. I think that's a much better pick.
that's fair. Yeah, I agree with you there. So overall, another one we disagreed on, but
Yeah.
I'm a little bit higher on them. You're a little bit lower, but that's fine, man. That's the
All right.
nature of why we do this. All right. So on to the next one. We got the Raiders here. Go Raiders.
Go Raiders. Yeah, we
Um,
also disagreed a little bit here. This
just
time,
a little bit.
I mean, it's same distance, a full grade between us. This time it all comes in the middle rounds. We agreed exactly on the first two,
Yeah.
and pretty close there towards the end, other than the two you gave A minuses to. I mean, I think everyone knows these first two picks are great. The tight end wasn't the biggest position of need, but Brock
Yeah.
Bowers is just such a good player that you have to give it at least an A. And then Jackson Powers Johnson, we were just talking about Creed Humphrey. I think he's going to be very similar to Creed Humphrey. I think he's going to blow up onto the scene very early in his career.
Yeah, and we were talking about JPJ going as soon as like maybe even pick 15 to the Colts, I believe it was.
Yeah,
And the dude falls all the way to number 44. That's an absolute steal as far as his talent goes. There is injury concern, and that is why he fell so far. But
yeah,
he's going to NFL programs which are better at handling those injuries, better at rotating him out, and just working up that tolerance to that kind of stress and strenuous work that he's got to go through. So I think he's gonna basically plug right in, play well, and kind of make everybody regret not taking him sooner.
yeah.
Brock Bowers, what do you want me to say about him? He's the best tight end prospect I've seen in 10 years. Yeah, nothing more to say about that. Going down the line, I like Delmar Glaz a little bit more than you did.
Yeah, I'm just not crazy high on his potential. His
Yeah,
production was pretty good,
Yeah, he's a decent
Um,
pass blocker. I think he's a good rotational player, which is I think what you want to expect from a round 3 player.
yeah, and that's why I gave it a C. For me, it's
Yeah.
exactly just basic passing grade here. It's a good pick, nothing crazy. I mean, down the board though, to me, there's a lot of, and this is where our differences come in and who we like in late round picks. I like the high potential guys. A lot of these guys were high production guys, very low athleticism
Mm-hmm.
guys, like especially Eichenberg. I remember looking him up in particular. His combine wasn't very good. His measurables aren't very good, but he produced really well when he was at Ohio State.
Yeah.
So to me, I'm not sure what you're going to get out of these guys long term, but at the very least, you're getting a quality backup. At the very, very least.
Yeah. Um, so yeah, Eichenberg, I like that pick a lot. Like you said, high production, smart guy, plays well. Dylan Lobb, out of New Hampshire, love my New England boys. But I think he was way underrated, mainly just because like the dude played for a really small school. His production was okay, but I think he was, like I said, I think he was underrated because of that's like he's not in a big program. You see the same thing with a guy like what was his name? Safety got drafted 2 years ago. I'm forgetting his name now. It'll come back to me eventually.
Yeah, I don't know.
um, but yeah, I mean the rest of the picks are what you expect. Decent picks. I'm not expecting too much out of them. Um, yeah, I got nothing else. What about you?
I mean, yeah, I like the Air Force safety here, Trey Taylor. I always love taking a flyer late rounds on a military academy guy. At the very least, you know that they're going to be stand-up guys with a good work ethic.
True.
Um, there's no way they would have survived that long at Air Force without being that way. So I respect him just for that, and I think you're going to see some value there. Um, I like MJ Devonshire too. I think he has a lot of high potential traits. His production was pretty bad, but his athleticism is pretty good. So for me overall, I give the draft a B minus. I think the first two rounds, the first two picks you make, knocked it out of the park. But
Yeah.
for the rest of the picks, I'm not sure if these guys are really even going to see much playing time in their career. There's a chance for some of the guys, like if I had to pick some guys that I would change grades on, or I could see them being better than my grade, I would probably give it to Eichenberg and Glass probably.
Yeah.
I'm not huge on Lob. I think he's got some traits that I really like, but for me, the athleticism isn't really there at a position that needs athleticism. His production was good, but because he's playing in New Hampshire against some worse defenses, but um, yeah, his athleticism leaves a little bit to be desired, but that's something that can improve.
Yeah.
These weight trainers and weight rooms in the NFL are insane. I don't know if you've seen the progress of guys when they come in the draft and then the next few years after some weight training and they're just 10 times bigger.
Yeah.
So that can be improved. So, but yeah, overall, I'll give it a B minus.
Yeah. All right, on to the Chargers here. The LA Chargers should be San Diego
Finally,
Chargers.
we're within half a grade.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, we kind of agreed here.
um,
Mostly on the first three picks, it seems like. I think we both agree they knocked those out of the park.
oh, 100%. Joe Alt, you get an anchor on that O line. That you got that line from Jim Arbaugh, or is it John? Wait, Jim, right? This is Jim.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. He believes that even O line guys are weapons in his offense.
Yeah.
You get the most reliable pass catcher in this draft with Lad McConkey. Junior Colson out of Michigan, you get a guy that's going to command that backfield. Or not backfield, sorry, secondary. Yeah, I love those first three picks.
Yeah.
They nailed it
Yeah.
out of
And
the park.
for me too, I remember when we were watching this live, we kind of shit ourselves a little bit when they took Joe Alt. We were heavily expecting wide receiver, and part of the reason I was expecting it is because I didn't think they would get a good one later on.
Yeah.
They went out, they got Joe Alt, and if they didn't get McConkey or even Rice down the board, I would have probably lowered the alt grade a little bit. It took some balls taking alt there.
Yeah.
Um, but I mean that sticks at an A because they got Lad McConkey,
Yeah.
which is an absolute steal at 34. In my opinion, he probably shouldn't have made it past around 26.
Yeah.
Um, and in a massive run on wide receivers in the late part of the first round. And then Junior Colson, not only is he one of the best linebacker prospects, but he's also Jim Harbaugh's guy.
Yeah.
Uh, he recruited him to college. He's been with him the whole time he's been there. I'm not sure what grade he is, how long he's been there, but that's his man. He practically raised this boy,
Yeah.
and now he's in his NFL defense. So I love that pick. Another pick that really stood out to me was Kamani Vidal.
Oh
Great
yeah.
running back out of Troy. I
I
just gave it a B. But I think looking back, I'd probably go higher. Um, for a 6th round pick, he has a ton of potential.
Yeah. I think this is my like soapbox moment here. I
Yeah.
think that Kamani Vidal will end the year as a top 20 fantasy producer because they don't have Austin
Yeah.
Eckler anymore. And
Yeah,
they
and he can
love their
catch too.
yeah. He is your
Yeah.
Austin Eckler replacement and he's a rookie. He's like, hasn't hit his prime yet. I love the way that Jim Harbaugh's going to scheme him up.
I think part of the reason I gave him only a B is because I was a little bit salty that he didn't try to go out and get uh, Blake Corum. I
Mm.
would have loved to see Blake Corum go to this offense.
Yeah, that's true.
Uh, which that's another player that I think is going to be very, very good. His footwork is insane. He's not the fastest or the strongest, but he kind of reminds me of like a Le'Veon Bell type. Very patient, very smart runner.
And he
Um,
and he, he has, as far as his dimensions go, his proportions, he's tiny. I mean, there's
yeah,
no way to say it. No nice way to say it. He's a really small player. Well, we'll get to that when
yeah.
because he's
Well,
later. We got him later down in this video, so when we get to him, we'll talk about him there. But I do. It would have been cool to see him go here. I agree.
yeah. But overall, I love this draft for the most part. There's a few picks that I think were just name picks. Like the defensive tackle from Alabama. I'm not going to try to pronounce the last name. Sorry, I cannot do that. I am too white.
Hey, boy, Bay.
Uh, yeah, what he said. Um, Personally, when I was looking through his stats, his production, his combine, I didn't see anything that impressed me to the level of a 4th round pick.
I agree,
Um,
100%.
I think most of it was he's an Alabama defensive tackle.
Yeah.
Um, which I think there's some strategy to that. That works out for guys sometimes, but for the most part, I think he should have gone way later. I really didn't like Cam Hart. Um, Looking through, his physicals were terrible.
Yeah,
Um,
he's pretty slow, but I think that he's
yeah,
got a good. I don't want to say catch radius, but he's got a good. He's got good
yeah.
radius with his hands. He's able. He's got a nice range, and from what I saw, he is a very good. He's very good at mirroring the routes that receivers run.
Do you remember
Um,
how tall he is? Because if he's anything over 6 foot, I could see him maybe guarding tight ends.
yeah,
Put him if you move
make
a
him a
tight end out in the
linebacker.
slot. Yeah, you move a tight end out in the slot, put Cam Hart on him. But yeah, I mean, like you said, he's a talented player. For me, he's just way too slow to play cornerback in the NFL. So that's why I gave it a D plus. I really
He's
didn't
six
like
foot
that pick.
two,
Yeah, so I could see him maybe playing some kind of
like a nickel corner kind of thing.
yeah, but not necessarily on. It depends who the offense has lined up in the slot. Because now
Mm,
you can see anything from Travis Kelce to Tyreek Hill in the slot nowadays.
yeah,
So it really depends. But Brendan Rice is the big pick for me here. I think that's their biggest steal. I only gave it a B, because I still am not crazy sure if it's just the name. He is very talented. He's got some great physicals, some great
he's
measurables,
got the bloodline.
but the bloodline is definitely there. And getting him in the 7th round is a very good steal. So if I could
Yeah,
change one of my grades, it would probably be that.
yeah. Again, that's why I rated him an A plus. I think he was predicted to go around like the 4th round as a 4th round talent, and I think a lot of guys were like worried because in my opinion, this is how I think the draft went. I think they saw Washington pick Luke McCaffrey in the 3rd round, and they were like, "Holy shit, that was like a 7th round talent that they picked
Yeah.
for the name." I know you disagree on that, but I think this is how
Yeah.
NFL teams viewed that. And then they were like, "Let's not make the same fuck up and do the exact same thing they did and way overdraft this guy," and that led to him falling to the 7th round. And I think he's going to be vindictive for that. I think he's gonna
Yeah.
he's gonna make people regret, and he's going to a place where it's a very good situation for a young budding wide receiver like him. You got Ladd McConkey, who's going to be the over the middle threat that is going to be consistent and pretty consistent pass catcher for Justin Herbert, and then you have the big explosive guy on the outside, Brendan Rice, that is going to be the bomb. So
Yeah, and with the depth in that wide receiver room, I think, not right away, but after, the first 3 injuries get out of the way for them, Brendan Rice will probably see the field.
and it'll happen.
Yeah, they've got a lot of guys in that wide receiver room, just none of them are very good until now with Ladd McConkey and Brendan Rice.
Yeah.
So, you'll see them, you'll definitely see them in games this year, especially Ladd McConkey.
Oh yeah.
Who is already, people are talking great things about him in training camp. So I'm excited to see what their offense looks like. It's a very new look for the Chargers next season.
Yeah, so A- overall for me. Very close grade for you and me. I think
Yeah.
just that later round, the middle, like kind of, I wasn't very high on it, but I think the later rounds, they kind of bumped the grade back up a little bit. I think the big difference that kind of drives your grade down is that Cam Hart grade.
Yeah, I mean, for me, if you have 3 A's in the first 3 picks, at the very least, you're getting a B. At the very
100%,
least.
yeah.
So that's why I gave it a B+, because I think there's some guys later rounds who have some very high potential.
Yeah.
But overall, yeah, I think it's a quality draft. Nothing mind-blowing, but very good.
Yeah. All right. We are on to the NFC West. I just see it on your screen. Just.
Oh my God.
I'm gonna leave it there. I'm gonna leave it there so you suffer now.
Yeah.
All right. First team here. We're gonna go with the Arizona
So many
Cardinals.
picks, dude.
We're
gonna be on this slide for 30 minutes. Holy shit.
Dude, I had to downsize the spacing for this because of how many picks they had. And dude, look how many in the first 3 rounds. Look how many.
Yeah, their GM.
Picks.
I don't know whether to applaud their GM or call him an idiot for getting this many picks and then having a really mid draft. You could have done so much better. I'm not gonna lie, but
sure,
I mean,
but like. For me,
if you're going for quantity here, you're bound to hit on at least a few guys, right?
Yeah, for me, quantity is yes. It's, I mean, quantity. Sure, you can say quality over quantity, but when you maneuver yourself to have this many picks, and like, I gotta give you at least like a little bit of props for that. I gotta bump up your grade just a little bit, just because you're getting so much talent.
I mean, how many? That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 picks in the first 3 rounds.
Yeah,
that's insane.
Is that how many is that? Is that 12 picks? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
It's 12. Yeah.
Yeah, 12 picks.
Yeah, I mean, it's very impressive getting that many picks.
In a 7-round draft where you have 1 pick per draft, you end up with 12 picks. Like, that's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, they've made some good moves. I'm not sure it's going to pay off too much. I think there's a few guys in here who I really like. Obviously, Marvin Harrison Jr., one of the most surefire hits in this whole draft.
Oh, yeah.
At the very, very least, you're getting an elite number 2 wide receiver. He should be an elite number 1, but, in a world where he's a bust, he's an elite number 2, which is crazy.
He is your new Larry Fitzgerald. Like, there's no two ways about it. He's the new icon of Arizona.
Nothing would blow my mind more if he's a complete bust.
Oh
that would be the most mind-blowing thing to me, is if he just sucks in the NFL.
Well, I forget what his name was, but it was this white guy that got drafted back in the 70s, I think, to the Rams. And they called him, like, the most surefire NFL prospect that has ever existed, and he was a complete bust. And he was a wide receiver. And everyone was saying, oh, no matter what, he's gonna at the very least he's gonna like make one Pro Bowl or something like that. Like, and dude completely washed out of the NFL like almost instantly. It was dog shit. But
And
like,
there was not another wide receiver until Wes Welker.
yeah, that's an accurate retelling of NFL histories. Definitely.
But I mean, if I could just go down the list here, Max Melton, I think he's a quality pick. It's a little bit high taking him 43 overall, but
Yeah, that's why
I
was.
like the player.
Yeah,
Trey Benson, I think, is the best running back out of this draft.
I agree.
So getting him in round 3 is great. The only reason I give it an A minus is even though he's the best in this draft, he's not particularly amazing. This draft is a little weak on running back.
Yeah.
Tip Raymond, what a name. Pretty good tight end. And then Dadrion Taylor Demerson, one of the most underrated names in this draft. I think he had pretty bad production at Texas Tech. It is a pretty competitive conference, but his athleticism is up there, so that's why I gave him a B plus. He's got some potential.
Yeah.
Um,
Go on. Finish your.
yeah, and then
list.
all I was gonna say was I see that we disagreed heavily on Christian Jones.
Oh, I love Christian Jones, man. I think he has so much potential, and when he was put in at the Senior Bowl, absolutely showed out, just completely anchored that O line. So
Yeah, I mean, he's probably the one grade I would bump up a little bit. I do agree his Senior Bowl performance was very good. To me, his production and athleticism during games at Texas left a little bit to be desired.
mm-hmm.
But, in the context of he's a 5th round pick, I should probably give it a bit higher than a C plus.
Yeah, I think you're getting a guy in like. This is why I gave it an A plus. I think you are getting a guy in the 5th round, who is a plug and play guy. What's wrong, man?
I thought you were just gonna leave it there. You're getting a guy in the 5th round.
That's that Always Sunny in Philadelphia delivery right there, man. You're getting a guy in the 5th round.
Now here's a guy.
Mel Kiper. This is one of the draft picks of all time.
Yeah. Yeah, one of the few predictions he'll ever get right.
Well, I gotta tell you there. All right. But yeah, you're getting a guy that can plug and play in your O line. I don't think he's going to be necessarily a Hall of Famer or anything like that, but I think he's going to be a solid starter for you, and you're getting him in the 5th round. So I can't fault that, and that's not what you're expecting in a 5th round pick. You're expecting maybe a rotational player at best.
Yeah.
Xavier Thomas, we had a very big disagreement on him. I thought he showed a lot of potential. I think you're just a hater because he's from Clemson.
That definitely factored into it a little bit. For me, the whole scale kind of shifts down a little bit. It's on a bit of a curve if you're from Clemson. It's much harder to get a higher grade if you go to Clemson, in my opinion.
Unless your name is Brian Breezy.
Yeah, that's true. That's every sports fan has that one guy on their rival team who they just like. I wish you weren't on my rival because I actually kind of like you. And that's Brian Breezy for me. I loved that dude. It's a shame he was a Tiger. But overall, I give it a B minus. I think there are some really good hits here, but it's just a lot of guys. So at the very least, handful of them are going to hit, surely, right?
Yeah, exactly. And just for like the pure quantity of this, and you have 7 picks in the first 3 rounds, I'm giving it a B. Like, you're getting a lot of talent in that room, a lot of guys to cut for sure. But, like, you're getting a lot of talent, young talent, too. That's the important part, is you're not getting, like, some washed-up 39-year-old who can't play for shit.
Yeah, and it's great getting this young team going so that next year you could trade away Kyler Murray and get a rookie quarterback.
Please. All right, so on to the L.A. Rams now.
Yeah.
A lot of disagreements here for us. This is going to be a spicy one, but
a lot of disagreements, but we got the same grade, which is crazy.
Grade. Yeah, absolutely insane. So
yeah, I mean, we agreed on verse for the most part.
Yeah.
Braden Fisk, I think they took him a little bit high.
I think they took him way high.
I love his athleticism.
I like his athleticism
absolutely
too.
Love it.
But dude, Dude has the shortest arms of any of the defensive tackles. The dude, he has T-Rex arms, bro. Like, I
Yeah, I
watched.
mean, if he was on edge, I would care. He's an interior guy, so I don't mind too much. I mean, if they get up into his pads, that's going to be a difficulty, but I have faith in the speed and power that he has.
Yeah, that's fair. I do like that, and I do. If it was anybody else, I would like with the same talent and same proportions and all that stuff. I probably would have ranked. Excuse me. I probably would have ranked him a lot lower, maybe even given it like a D plus or something. But
Hmm.
I love the fact that they're reuniting Jared Verse and Braden Fisk, two Florida State guys. They're putting them back
Yeah.
together on that D line, and I think that chemistry is gonna work really well. They know how to play off one another's strengths and their weaknesses, and exploit the O lines for the better.
Yeah, and then I mean, moving down from there, Blake Corum, like I said, he's one of my favorite players in this draft. I think
Yeah,
they took him a little bit higher than they could have.
yeah,
They probably could have gotten him in the fourth. That's why I gave it a B plus. But I do think he's going to be a starter at some point in his career. Maybe not right away. You got a few decent running backs in LA, but at some point, I think he will see starting time. Cameron Kinchins, at the beginning of the college season, he was looking like a surefire first rounder,
yeah,
and he had a pretty bad year. His physicality is still definitely there, but for the same reasons, I mean, his production was nowhere near expected. So that's why I gave it a B. You probably could have, I don't know about could have, but whoever drafted him should have drafted him later than third round, in my opinion.
yeah. Um, so let's see. With Blake Corum, I love the pick. I love the pick for the Rams,
Hmm.
mainly because who's their running back right now? Kyron Williams, another really tiny running back, somebody that he can learn from. And
Yeah,
granted,
and then you just need to get really tall offensive linemen, and the linebackers have no clue where they're going.
exactly,
Yeah,
because that's how that works. Yeah. Honestly, they should just trade for Kyler Murray when his contract's
yeah.
up. When
Just run
Matt Stafford
options.
retires.
You don't even need to make him pass. Just run options.
Yeah, the call him. Never mind. I'm not gonna say that.
Bring in the Air Force OC.
But yeah, Cameron Kitchens. I would argue. I think he's the number 2 safety behind Tyler Nubin. Nubins.
I still think so too. I think the gap is pretty big though.
Yeah, I did see a lot of experts ranking him above Tyler Nubin. But I think getting him in the third round, I think that's good. I'm happy with it. By the way, can we just stop and realize for a second? Holy shit! The Los Angeles Rams have a pick in the first round.
Yeah, that hasn't happened since Jared Goff. Jared Goff.
Speaking of which, just got his big contract from the Lions.
Yeah.
Love to see that.
Yeah, I love the Jared Goff redemption story.
Bro has zero aura and like zero just like chemistry with anybody, but he still balls out, so I can respect
Have you
it.
seen the stat comparison since the trade between him and Matt
Yeah, they're
Stafford?
like identical. The
Other than
same
the Super
exact
Bowl,
stats.
they are like almost the same quarterback.
It's insane.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, which just proves to me that the Lions won that trade. I mean, it's hard to say. It's a fairly even trade in my opinion
Yeah,
because
I can't
if you win a
hate it.
Super Bowl, it's a win no matter what. You got a Super Bowl out of a trade, so
Although I will say that Jared Goff still has his propensity for shitting himself in big games.
yeah.
Like,
Yeah,
you know,
that's the question. That's the question is could they have won with Jared Goff at quarterback?
you mean Matthew Stafford?
No, I mean could the Rams have won the Super Bowl if they kept Goff?
Oh, okay. 'Cause, I mean, they did go to
Yeah.
the Super Bowl, and he shit himself in the game.
Yeah, so I mean that's why I think it's a win on both sides, really.
Mm.
Um,
All right, so
But,
going down the list,
yeah,
Josh Carty, he's a fucking kicker. I'm not reviewing that. It's a
highest
fucking
you're
kicker.
getting is a C plus for a kicker. Like that's
Sure, cool. You drafted a
Yeah.
kicker. Good job, guys. I don't hate Jordan Whittington. I think he showed really good sparks at Texas, but he's also
Yeah.
trapped behind Xavier Worthy. He's also trapped behind an Adonai Mitchell. So he could have some potential that needs to be unlocked, but you never know. We'll see. He'll probably
Yeah.
get cut from training camp.
I think you and I probably had the same reaction to Bo Limmer. When I was going through this, I looked him up, and I was looking at his stats and stuff, and I wasn't like blown away, but I was like, this guy was a 6th-rounder?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like to me, he looked like a 3rd, 4th-rounder
Third, fourth
based on
round
his
pick.
stats.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
So just for the value alone, it's like, all right, good pick. You might get
Yeah.
you might get a guy who can rotate into that center position. Good job, guys.
Great value, especially for a compensatory pick. Which do you remember how they got this many compensatory picks?
No, bro.
Who cheated them out of something? Like
Probably,
what's going on?
It's probably the Dolphins, dude. Everything
yeah.
leads back to the Dolphins.
Yeah.
So yeah, overall, we both gave it the same grade.
Mm-hmm.
A couple different rankings overall. I was a little bit higher on some, you were a bit lower on some, but like overall,
Yeah.
it kind of averages out to the same thing. So
Yeah, I mean down my board, everything's more of a B. You got some more C's thrown in there, but you also have more A's thrown in there. So
exactly.
yeah, it balances out. I think we both agree it's a decent draft.
Yeah.
Pretty good.
Yep. All right. So on to the San Francisco 49ers. This is an interesting one.
Yeah, I'm just glad that you and I agree on Isaac Guerendo.
Oh hell yeah!
Because he is insane. Watching his like combine and his measurables are ridiculous. He has one of the best. My shit's fuzzy again. He had one of the best overall combines out of any player that I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Absolutely
Dude is crazy
insane.
Talented. He's got a lot of those physical traits. He just really needs to develop, play recognition, and his vision is objectively horrible.
Yeah.
So if he's able to work on that and get it better, I will be a little bit more high on him for sure. But to get him in the 4th round, a guy of this talent, like just the value alone bumps it up to an A+ for me.
He has a very very low floor but an insanely high ceiling.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I mean, I think him learning from McCaffrey and running with McCaffrey is gonna completely skyrocket him. I think there's a very good chance he's gonna be a top 10 running back in the league at some point.
Yeah, 100%. Malik Mustafa also safety out of Wake Forest. I loved him. I think getting him in the 4th round, I think he's a very close talent behind Kinchins, in my opinion. I even saw this guy. I even saw Mustafa ranked above Tyler Nubin's.
I don't know about that. I don't know about that.
I saw it.
No, I'm sure you did.
I don't agree with it for sure.
Yeah.
But he does.
I know. I love him. Yeah.
I love him too. I think he's a great player. I think you can kind of throw a toss-up between him and Kinchins.
Yeah, same. I think his production's certainly a lot better.
Yeah.
His physicals aren't as good, but to me, at safety, if you can run at least average, safety's, in my opinion, is mostly a mental position. One of the more mental positions on the defense. You have to be a certain level of athletic to play safety, but once you're there, it's all mental.
Yeah.
And he has that part down.
Let's see. Ricky Pearsall, I thought it was a little high for him to go there. I love his talent, and I love his potential. I still think it was a little bit high. I think you had guys like, Lad McConkey who would have fit in really well there.
Yeah, I love the Pearsall pick. I've seen reports out of training camp recently that he looks like absolutely insane, which is good to hear because I would love to see him do well, even though he went to Florida. But like you said, there's some other guys on the board here that might have made a little bit more sense. I would have even liked to see Leggett go there, just seeing Leggett and Debo on the same team.
Yeah.
I mean, that would be probably the most athletic wide receiver room in the league.
Yeah.
And it still might be with Pearsall there. I mean, that's the thing with the 49ers. They will do everything in their power to have a perfect team except for quarterback. I'm one of the bigger Purdy fans. I don't think he's just a game manager. I like him, but are you going to win with him is the question.
Yeah. You sent me that awesome chart, that awesome way to rank quarterbacks of like.
Yeah, I saw. You go ahead. You tell it.
Yeah, it's a tier list of quarterbacks throughout the league, and it says At the top, you have will win the Super Bowl with the 49ers. You have second tier, will make it to the Super Bowl with the 49ers. Um, then what was the third one? It was like won't make it to the Super Bowl with the 49ers. And then not enough data. So like so excellent way to rank quarterbacks.
It's really intuitive. I love it.
And you could say like, each of these for different reasons too. So
Yeah.
anyways, you were really high on Jarrett Kingston and Jacob
Yeah.
Cowing. So tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, Kingston, I looked him up. His production was pretty bad, as was most of the USC offensive line. But his physicals are really good, so I think, 6th round compensatory pick is very low risk. And you took a flyer on a guy who could hit big,
Yeah.
which I really like. Jacob Coing, nothing about him blows your mind. He's not insanely athletic. He's not insanely high production. But the thing that I love about him is, to me, he's a very, very he's the free to play version of Marvin Harrison. He's good. He's good at a lot of things.
Yeah.
He's a jack of all trades, master of none. Whereas Marv is a master of all trades.
Yeah.
So Jacob Coing, I think he's not ever going to be a number one wide receiver, but I think at some point in his career, there's a very good chance he'll be a solid number 3 guy. Not with the 49ers, because they're insanely deep at every single position.
Oh yeah.
So I'm not sure if he'll ever touch the field, but if he ever gets traded, or if they trade one of their guys who they've been rumored to trade, I think he'll be a really good kind of 3rd, 4th option at wide receiver.
Yeah, definitely. In round 4, I don't know if I like that.
It is a bit
there.
high. It is a
Yeah.
bit high. Yeah.
Compared to the other guys that were still on the board. I think like hell, a Brendan Rice would be iconic here. You get
Yeah.
like Jerry Rice played for you guys. You can get
Or
his
even a
son.
Luke McCaffrey.
Yeah.
Pair him up with his brother. Yeah.
Dude, you have the legacy picks that you can easily get there. So I mean, I think actually Luke McCaffrey I think was gone by this pick.
I think he was. I think he was like 2 picks before it.
Really? I thought he was in the 3rd round.
Pretty sure he was like mid 4th.
Okay, all right. Anyways, yeah,
Yeah.
so I'm very mixed on this draft. I don't hate it. There's a couple picks I would change. Like I would definitely change the Ricky Pearsall pick. I'd change around maybe some of the like that 4th round pick. I'd change maybe the 2nd one also. But overall, it's a B. It's a really solid draft for me. I can't really seriously knock any of the picks.
Yeah, I mean, in my opinion, other than the last pick, which is a 7th rounder, so who cares?
Yeah.
I don't think any of them are really severe misses at all.
Yeah.
It's at the very least they're all safe picks. I think some of them will be big hits. We're already hearing good things about Pearsall. I think Gurendo is going to be insane at some point.
Oh yeah.
So at the very least you're getting quality picks, and then a lot of these guys have high boom potential. So I really like it. That's why I gave it a B+.
Yeah, definitely. Okay. On to
Here we go.
Seattle Seahawks. What
Yeah,
a draft.
I love this draft.
What
I love this
a
draft.
man. God, just really solid picks across the board. A couple ones that we each gave 2 C+s in this draft. Actually,
Yeah, we kind of had 2 picks that we disagreed on, and then for the most part we're the same. I mean, we disagreed on Barner and Pritchett, and that's about it.
Yeah, yeah.
So I mean, as for that, I like Barner. He's a bigger tight end. He I think he started off at Indiana, and transferred over to Michigan.
Okay.
But 4th rounder, he's not going to be a starter. They still have Noah Fant. So I think decent option down their roster. As for Pritchett, I'm just not huge on him. I think he didn't have the athleticism I look for out of an SEC corner. His production was pretty good, but also he wasn't really guarding these crazy number 1 wide receivers. I don't think he guarded Malik Neighbors when they played. I think they played them this year. But yeah, I'm just not crazy high on him. I could be persuaded to go higher. I haven't seen enough of him. But yeah, I did like DJ James though, out of Auburn, another corner from Auburn.
Definitely.
Very athletic. very athletic.
Yeah.
Lots of potential there.
Um, the thing with Nehemiah Pritchett, right? He had an insane 40-yard dash. I'll give him that. Like, incredibly speedy
Yeah.
guy. And his 10-yard split, too, was great. So I think you
Case.
can get him in there, and he's going to be, at the very least, he's going to be able to match like a deep threat. So I think he's a good
Yeah.
rotational guy. Same with DJ James. Different types of players, and you're getting a chemistry pick, right? You're getting two guys that played
Mhm.
together at Auburn, who are going to know how to play off each other's, strengths and weaknesses. And if they both make the roster, I think that's really good for them.
Yeah, but I think we can both agree here. The reason that this is so high on our draft boards is because of Byron Murphy II.
Oh,
This is
my God.
the perfect pick for the Seattle Seahawks
Yeah.
with their new head coach. I mean, you're getting a huge defensive mauler to put on the interior. Literally Bowser looks like him too. Um, insanely. I'm not a big fan of the way he looks. I think he's a bit ugly. No disrespect, Mr. Byron. No disrespect. Please don't murder
Bro,
me.
you just said, nah, I don't like the way he looks. He's kind of ugly. No disrespect, though.
Yeah, I don't mean any disrespect by it because he can ball. I was about to cuss, but he can ball.
Don't worry, I'll cuss for you. He can fuck you up.
Yeah. Insanely talented player. One of my favorite guys in this draft. I absolutely love the potential of him being on the Seahawks and reviving the old Seahawks defense that was so elite when we were growing up.
Oh, Legion of Doom.
Yeah.
Legion of Boom, my bad. Same difference, honestly.
Yeah, I mean this version's gonna be the Legion of Doom. If you're going defensive line first,
Man.
yeah, they're gonna take some heads off.
Yeah, I love the Christian Haynes pick too. I think you're getting a guy that is starter and maybe even a couple time Pro Bowl potential guard in the third round. That might be a bit of like a crazy pick, but I still think he's got the talent for it. And if you plug and play him, granted, with enough coaching. You okay there? You're starting to grin a little bit.
Sorry, I'm thinking.
Oh, okay.
My bad.
You're not allowed to think on this. This is only brain rot allowed on this channel. There we go. That's better. Drool starts falling out. But yeah, no, I love the pick. I think he's going to be a great anchor on that O-line. So
yeah,
man.
Overall, I think it's a fantastic draft. One of the best ones this year. So I gave it an A-.
Yeah, and I give it an A. It's just, dude, they're making the right picks. Like, it's just common sense draft choices, in my opinion. There's a couple.
Yeah, very similar to the way that the Eagles pick. They just don't overthink it. They don't try to get fancy.
Exactly. So yeah, excellent choices here. So, this is my report card overall. Seahawks moving up into that number 2 slot. Eagles still with that A+ at number 1. Just really good drafts so far. The only ones that I've really disliked are the Cowboys and Commanders drafts. But man, love these picks. On to yours.
Yeah. Here's mine. I told you in the last episode there's going to be some more negative grades coming out this week, and you could see that now with the Chiefs and the Broncos being pretty low. Raiders, Rams, Cardinals. I mean, my bottom 5 are all from this video. But also some of the higher ones are from this video too. You got the Seahawks up there. Yeah. You got the 49ers up there. You got the Chargers up there. I think there are some really good drafts here. Lots of fun players, lots of talented players that hopefully will be a joy to watch in the NFL that I won't really be watching. I'm a college guy.
Yeah, fair enough. I'll do the watching for them. Lots more to be watching. I usually only pay attention to my Patriots, but I'll have to actually. This is one of the first drafts I've really paid attention to, as far as going from college into the NFL. So
yeah,
I'll be paying a lot more attention to them.
And next year we can rank them all based on their college football 25 overall rankings.
Let's go, baby, dude. I hope that game's good. Imagine
Oh,
how
it
pissed will
better
you
be.
be if they fuck it up.
You know, I'm not as pissed as you would think because
Yeah,
I'm just grateful it's back, to be honest. It could be just a remastered version of 14 with new rosters and better graphics, and I'd be happy.
yeah.
So I have high hopes, though. I think they'll do good with it. I'm trusting EA this once.
That's a mistake.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah,
It
anyways,
cost me $25 to trust them.
what?
They have microtransactions on their trust now.
Oh God. Yeah, I wouldn't
Yeah,
be surprised, man. At this point, who knows? All right, so we're halfway through our rankings so far. Couple more videos to come, and then I had an idea for another series. I'm forgetting what it was now, which is kind of pissing me off because it was a really good idea.
that means that it'll just have to be a secret.
It'll have to be a secret. You guys have to come
Yeah,
back and watch it when it comes out.
yeah. It'll be a little surprise for you guys.
Definitely.
Yeah,
But yeah, no. Thanks for watching, guys, and peace.
nice.